Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I'm here with the third layout using my Hip Kit August 2015 kit. I do want to apologize if you can hear the dryer in the background. I am washing like my 10th load of clothes for the day, so we had so many clothes to wash and it's almost done. But I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I wanted to go ahead and do this voiceover for you guys so I can have this layout up. So this layout is obviously, well, it's not obvious to you yet, but it is a Project Life kit. It's a Project Life page using this Project Life kit. Now, I like to mix and match my kits. I will use a Project Life kit for a 12 by 12 layout or a 12 by 12 main kit for a Project Life spread. I have no problem doing that, but this particular one is a Project Life page. And the very first thing I did was trim down all my photos and kind of get them placed where I wanted them to be. And then now I'm going through my cards that are in the kit and kind of figuring out where I want them to go. Now, as you can see, I only have one 4x6 pocket that's actually going to be completely filled with a photo, and that's the bottom right one. All the rest of the 4x6 pockets will have Project Life cards in them, and then all of the 3x4 pockets will have cards in them as well. This is actually kind of uncommon for me. I usually am not using 3 4x6 cards. The kit came with 4, I believe, and so I'm using 3 of those 4 on this particular spread. I really love the colors of this kit. I thought that the kit was kind of interesting because it has some very bold colors, like that really bold yellow and black polka dot, and then it's got some really bold red cards, and it's got some really, it's got some cards with some like bright white colors, and it's got some cards with more of a dull white or not quite so bright white. And so it was kind of interesting to me because at first I didn't think that the cards really coordinated all together, but what I noticed is that the cards are kind of grouped. So there's a particular set, there are about 3 different groupings of cards where you can kind of coordinate the cards to fit together. So I thought that was very interesting because it really gives you about 3 different looks within the same kit where you can use the cards by grouping the ones that really coordinate together a little bit better. So there was also this large shipping tag in the kit. So I'm going to trim down my September calendar, and that calendar is actually from LA Studio. I always include the LA Studio calendar cards on the very beginning page for my month. And so I always try to put it up here on the top left card. It doesn't always have to go there, but that's just typically where I end up putting that and kind of making a title or a filler card there. Now that card or that tag has a gold reinforcer, like hole reinforcer, and I'm actually going to cover that up with a sticker that I have just randomly left in my stash. If you didn't notice, and I skipped over it because I didn't want you to sit there and watch through it, I do trim down my 3x4 cards and just trim them down to fit in the pockets a little bit better, and then around those corners. I left all of the 4x6 cards though with the squared corners, and I typically will actually do white borders on my 4x6 cards, but I did not do that this time. I felt that there was enough white space in there that it didn't really need it. Usually I like to do the white borders because I feel like it just kind of separates the colors, and I feel like it kind of makes the page flow a little bit better. But there was enough white space on most of these cards that I was okay with the amount, and I didn't need to add any more white space. And that's where I'm just changing out that whole reinforcer, and that was just a sticker that was left over from an old, maybe Cocoa Daisy. Actually, I think it was a Cocoa Daisy planner kit, probably from a year or 2 ago, actually. And I just always keep that type of stuff. I keep all my extra little bits in my stash, and I really very rarely will throw something away. I actually have a haul video coming up for you guys, I think this weekend. And I go through and I show you some of the items that I've used up from my stash, and I talk about that a little bit, about how I like to keep elements and not really throw them away, and really like to keep as much as possible and use up even the packaging. I use packaging as well. The very small white border that you see around this square photo here is actually the packaging from part of this kit. It was I can't remember what it was from, but it's the packaging from something that was in this kit. It may have actually just been the title card for the Project Life card set. But it had it's right here. It's this one that I'm using the little scrap of. See, even just the packaging is getting used. I noticed that the red was showing through that washi tape a little bit too much for my liking, so I'm just backing some of that washi tape on a little bit of that packaging that's left and creating a banner. Now, it wasn't long enough to go across the 4x6 card, so I'm going to trim it and layer the open gap between that little strip behind my photo, and you're going to see all of that here in just a moment. I'm just taking a moment to cut that down so I could actually make that work a little bit better. I like this washi tape. I actually already had it in my stash, but I kept the one that came in the kit here in the kit that I'm working with, and I did not pull out the one. I probably should have pulled out the one that was in my stash because it has already been used a couple times, and then kept the full roll together. But I wanted to show you guys how much I end up using, though you really can't tell how much of this washi I end up using by the time I'm done with the kit. Just pulled out my ruler here so I could really line up that washi tape to make sure that it really looks continuous behind my photo. Especially if it doesn't really line up, it's kind of hard to say that it's a continuous line, but if it lines up, it looks really nice and it makes it look like a continuous line. Now you're going to see me use my tiny attacher a few times. I'm obsessed with this thing since I got it. You guys all told me how I needed it in my life, and you are not lying. I absolutely love it. I don't know why it took me so long to buy it. I don't know why it took me so long. I felt like it was a little expensive for what it was, but you can always get it with a coupon or find it on sale. So I don't know exactly why it took me quite so long. I'm going to use this alpha a couple times on this page, and I'm only using the light blue alpha on this page. Actually, there were 6 different alpha sheets that came in the kit, which is quite a lot, and I loved it. I love having so many alpha options. Most kits only come with one if they come with one. Sometimes you have a kit that doesn't even come with an alpha. So the fact that this one had 6 different pages of alphas was amazing. There were 5 different colors of this one scripty font. I think it's from Pink Fresh Studio. And then there was one Amy Tangerine thicker set that was larger. It kind of had a wood grain look to it. But I really love the color options you had with the Pink Fresh Studio alpha set. I want to say it was their Happy Things line. I may be totally wrong on that, but that's stuck in my head for some reason. So I played around with a couple different sized photos on this layout. So I only really have 3 photos, which is not that many for a Project Life spread. However, I did cut apart that Ocean Lakes parking pass that I had at the very beginning. And this is about our trip to the beach last year, our little family trip to the beach last year. And so I cut apart that Ocean Lakes. That's like the campground. Well, it's like a community. It's not really a campground. They have a campground there, but it's the community where we were staying in a beach house. And so I had cut apart the parking pass that had like the site, like the lot that we were staying on, the site that we were staying on, and the dates and the name. And so I just kind of put it on 2 different cards. And so even though I only have 3 photos on this layout, I have 6 places that I have journaling, and I do have the title card with the calendar, and then I have that parking pass that I cut apart. So it was really nice to have a lot of different places to do things on this layout. I was able to capture really the story with the photos, but I was really able to tell some of the story more so with a lot of the different journaling. So let me read you some of the journaling. The journaling that's at the top on the top right card says a quick family photo of Wanda, Eric, and the boys at the beach. Funny enough, Kaylin actually took that photo. He did pretty good, I have to say. Then there's that filler card that says, always believe that something wonderful is about to happen. And then I did some journaling on that. You're going to see me pull out a little leftover bit from that packaging. It's the last little bit of that packaging. And I put, on this trip, Kaylin rode down his first water slide. We even got Ernest to ride down it with us. Kaylin just couldn't get enough. And that's really a big deal because Ernest is not a big water slide person. Then that today tag that's sitting there on the site card says, time to check into the beach house. It's so much fun to be had by all. And then our all-time faves card, that's a filler card, but I did use it for some journaling, and I just listed some of our favorite things for that trip. Looking for shells, big water slides, which we all rode down, and we did. We all rode down except for the ones that were just too little to ride down. Family game nights, swimming in the ocean, awesome seafood, lots of desserts, and relaxing as much as possible. So we actually ended up staying till Tuesday the 6th, but Ernest's birthday is the 5th of September, so we celebrated his birthday while we were down there. Then on this Life is Good card with Kaylin riding a little motorcycle, I just pulled out a little bit from my scrap that said special notes. It's just the, actually it's not a scrap, it's the bottom part of that September calendar card that I cut apart. And it just says, Kaylin and his obsession with motorcycles. He found one at the arcade. And then the other photo, or the last little journaling spot, is what I'm going to do here in just a moment. It's on the photo of the pool, which is what I'm putting here right now. So I had already put pool time, and then I said, and one big mega water slide, because it was a huge water slide. You cannot actually see it in this photo, but it's right behind the little playground that they're playing on. So those are kind of all the little bits of journaling that I have written around this page. I really thought it was nice to have so many spots to journal, and like I said, it's not so photo heavy, so I was really able to include a little bit more than what I would normally include, especially since the photos are just, it's a family picture of my sister and her family. It's a picture of Kaylin on a motorcycle game at the arcade, and then it's a picture of a pool, and you really can't even see anybody in the pool that we know. You see the back of my nephew's head, but it was more so just a picture of the pool itself. And that's actually a new pool at that place. The year before when we were there, it was not done yet, so we didn't get to play on it. So it was really nice to be able to see it, because that's the first year that was actually done, and it was such beautiful weather. As you can see, the sky is so blue, it's just beautiful. Playing around with my little scraps here and my little bins, and I talk more about this also in that haul video, because I talk about the items that I used up. So make sure you keep an eye out for that coming up this weekend, I believe, because I really talk about these little scraps that are in these little plastic bins that I'm pulling from. But this kit is kind of a little light on the embellishments, so these little bins of my scraps and my little used up items really came in helpful, came in handy to have right there on my desk to pull from. I'm just trying to find something to work above this site label, and I'm going to end up going back to my journaling spot that I originally had, which said today. And that today journaling spot, as well as the banner journaling spot at the top on the foot right above it with the black and white stripe on it, is actually from a Heidi Swap little notes set that came in a previous kit. I can't remember which kit I got that from, but it was leftovers from a previous kit. And that was really, I don't think I would have bought that on my own, because I'm thinking like, oh, they're like sticky notes. Why do you need that? Well, I want to say there were like 10 or 15 labels or like sheets in each of those little notepads, and there were 4 sets of notepads. They're just little miniature notepads, but there were 4 sets of them. So, I mean, that's 40 to, am I doing the math right? That's 40 to 60 different little note sheets. And so really, it has lasted so much beyond that kit that it came in. I've really found it useful in a lot of different projects. So I'm just using one of the little offcuts from one of the cards to layer behind the today note. So the reason I even looked for something else was because it felt weird having a label above like a label, and it was just our our site label, but still I thought it was kind of strange that it was just a label layered on top of a label. So that's why I was looking for something different, but I couldn't find anything better, and I ended up by layering that little strip of paper behind it, the little offcut of one of the cards. It really felt a little bit more grounded and looked a little bit nicer than what it had originally looked like when I had tried it there. I fussy cut a little heart out of a piece of paper that was in my little scrap bin, and I just layer it right there on top of that filler card. And then I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do with my journaling, and this is where I cut down the last little bit of packaging that I had sitting there in that in my kit box. I always keep all the supplies for the kit in a little box. That way I can keep all my scraps, because you never know when those might be useful. I always find those useful, by the way. Adding the last few little embellishments, I'm putting beach time here on the bottom of this Ocean Lakes Express check-in filler card. And I'm also kind of playing around with a little bit more, and I end up putting fun up there beside the September calendar. So the title of this one is September Fun. And this is the end of this layout. I am done working with it. I had a lot of fun, and I really like the bright colors as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be back soon with something else. All right, guys. Bye.